Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean out that knot so that way the epoxy adheres to it. We're gonna use a Dremel to get in there, get all the loose fibers out of there, and then we are going to vacuum it out, make sure it's nice and clean, and then put that tinted epoxy in there, and that way it looks nice and filled, it's smooth, and it is a beautiful finish. And then we'll put a top coat on the entire countertop to allow the color to come out. So check it out. Alright, so we just finished routing it out using the Dremel, and what that did is now all the wood left over is nice and secure. There's no loose fibers, and now when the epoxy goes in there, there's going to be a secure attachment point for it to adhere to and seep into. Time to mix up the epoxy. Alright, we're on the next step where we're going to mix up the epoxy. We have our epoxy resin right here and the hardener. This one is a medium set resin hardener, so it'll give us some play time, and also it'll cure overnight. So, and then because these holes are clean through, we are actually going to use a tint to it. If it's a small patch or something like that, we'll use clear, so that way you see the wood behind it. But because there is nothing behind it, it's a clean hole right through, we're going to go throw some tint in there, nice and dark. This is a hazelnut tint that it comes out really nice. So this is how we take care of it. So first we're just going to mix up the epoxy and then go from there. It's been about a minute. As you can see, it's a nice dark consistency. And now let's go pour it in. So we're really just trying to work it in right now, because it is a low viscosity, which allows us to have more control, but it also has a little bit of a difficulty getting to all the edges nicely. So we work it in really slowly. And just trying to push it in, make sure there's no air bubbles down under. And then we're gonna get the heat gun, heat it up a little bit, improve the viscosity, and get all these air bubbles out. But first you just let it sit for a minute. So that's kind of what we have right here. And now that's all nice and filled up, nice and clean, as you can see. Go down here, it's starting to look nice. So let's go get the heat gun. Alright, so we got our heat gun now, and as we can see, it actually, in the last minute, it kind of decaved, it concaved in a little bit, it soaked up the epoxy, so we're going to add a little bit more, continue to heat it up. And the trick here is we're not trying to burn it, we're just trying to heat it up to alleviate, get some viscosity in there, and help it get those air bubbles out that are trapped. Alright, so right now, a few minutes have gone by. It's looking really nice. If you look at it from this angle, it's almost hardly a bubble at the top. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to be safe, because as it dries, as it sits in there longer, the wood absorbs a little bit of it. So it actually will kind of keep going down a little bit. So we just add a little bit more. And then I'm going to get the heat gun back on it just to pop any more air bubbles that might have been created with this one last coat. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's actually popping some air bubbles. You can see it's with some of the light. Alright, so we just filled the big sections that are big holes in the countertop from the knots in the wood. Now we're going to fill in some more of the finer imperfections of the wood, just the cracks and divots that are found and naturally occurring in the wood that pop up actually when you sand and plane the wood for the countertop. So we fill these sections with clear epoxy because the clear will actually allow you to see right to the back and the darkness of it, and it'll allow to bring out the natural tones of what's behind it. Whereas generally those knots with the big holes in it, those are always super dark and rich sections in uniform colors, so we can color match that much more easily. So basically what right now we're just going to mix up another batch of epoxy, do a clear resin, and let me show you some of the areas where we fill these, and then we'll sand it out to capture that. That way it's a nice smooth countertop and no rivets, dents, and little pinholes in it. So here's the island countertop we're working on, and these marks right here, and they're a little bit of not perfectly smooth, some little holes like this. So what we do is we throw a little clear epoxy on there, and then that way that all hardens up. And around this one we're going to fill this knot too. Here's another knot on the island we got to fill, but all these little spaces around it, if we fill this with the super dark in the center, see how much darker that is, it won't be color uniform. So if we do clear, we'll be able to get all these spots, just like on this desk over here in the back where we did this nice fill that we just shot. These kind of cracks right here, this one back here, we'll do these in clear, and that way this desk comes out perfectly smooth. But this is going to be a beautiful kitchen as we finish up in this last week. So guys, thank you so much. We're going to continue to shoot this, and stay tuned for when the next step, which is when we sand it out over the next couple days. This is going to need to set overnight, so we're going to come back here tomorrow, do another coat, and finish it out. After that, we're going to actually finish the countertops. Stay tuned. Alright, so we're about to dive right in. Got this clear coat of epoxy mixed up. Check out. We're just going to leave this here, and you will see how we just kind of go through this entire table.